Thank you. Thank you for the invite. Before I talk about the school, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the GLOs and how loving and warm they are to everybody, and you're such good networkers. I talked to 3 people and they're like, oh, you know how he is. He's always gonna move people around and network and make sure you make the right connections and always putting everyone else first. But the thing that I most wanna say is going to networking events and meeting people in the community. It is very, very rare that people will stand up and just truly say who they are without embarrassment or making excuses. And my favorite thing about you and your family is that you make no apologies about putting God at the center of everything you do. And I truly appreciate that. So my name is Letitia Andrews, and I am the founder of Beta Academy. And just to tell you a little bit about the school and the history of where we came from, I had no intention of opening a school. I didn't even know what a charter school was. Found out about charter schools a few years ago. But as I was making my way through college, my father was in the military, and so they were stationed in Japan, and I was in Houston, kind of forging my own way. I was 21 years old, and I could afford about $400 a month in rent. So if you can imagine a place that cost $400 a month in Houston for rent for an apartment, that's where I was living. So imagine that place. Now I remember when I was living in these apartments thinking, oh my goodness, I'm gonna be out of here soon, I'm getting my master's degree and I'm gonna do this with my life. But there was always children around those apartment complexes. And I always wondered, like, what are these kids gonna do? Like, you know, what is their future like? And I'm sure that they had hopes and I'm sure they had dreams, but I wasn't really sure about the quality of the education they were receiving. And the more I looked at the neighborhood and the more I looked at the area around me, it was just full of poverty. And I kept thinking, like, how can we change this area? Like, people still live here. Like, okay, I'm making my way out, but what is the rest of the community gonna do? And that seed was just planted in my heart and mind, and I couldn't get that community out of my heart. I still live in that community. It's definitely my heartbeat. And I graduated college, and I started teaching in that community, and I was teaching at a private school. Well, everybody knows private school, you have to pay tuition. Well, in a low-income community, it's very hard for people to pay tuition. So that school closed, and I had the families beg me, Letitia, will you open a school for us? Will you open a school? Like, we will send our kid, if you just open a school in your garage, we'll send our students. And so I had just gotten married, and I'm getting laid off because now I don't have a job, and now I'm thinking about how I'm gonna start a school in my garage. And I'm like, this is the craziest thing. What am I doing? I don't have any money. I don't know how to do this. And so then I tell my husband, hey, what do you think about me starting a school in our garage? And you know, honestly, the minute I said it out loud, it's just one of those moments, like I couldn't even get the words out of my mouth. I just start weeping, and like I'll get choked up now, and then he starts weeping. And you know, I felt the Lord come in our car. We were talking about it in the car. And when we got done weeping and we prayed, I'll never forget, my husband looked at me and he said, let's do it. Like, I feel the presence of the Lord, let's do this. And I said, okay. And we looked for places to rent in the community, and you know, long story short, we ended up opening a small private school, and we had 30 kids. And I was thinking, okay, I'm not really doing enough here. I'm not really going to change the face of this community, but this is a start. And my husband was working 3 jobs at the time because we had to keep the school open, and I was trying to keep tuition low. We were trying to buy all the uniforms for the students. My current principal, Miss Kendra Hampton, awesome, phenomenal woman, she's not here today, but she came to me and she said, the Lord told me to work for you for free. So I'm gonna work for you for a year for free. She taught kinder in 1st grade for me. And so it was just this small group of people that were skipping paychecks, trying to figure it out. One of them wasn't getting any money at all. And I just kept thinking, this is not enough, and we're giving all that we have. And you know, but we weren't really networked to anybody in the community, and so we would do fundraisers, and we would start selling everything in our home. And I remember doing these big elaborate garage sales, and we would bring in $3,000, and it was like Christmas. Oh my gosh, we got $3,000, and we were able to pay the bills to keep the doors open. And so that was the story. And someone told me about charter schools. And I started looking into charter schools, and basically, you write an application to the the Texas State Department, and you submit it, and you go through this long review process, but it took about a year to write that application. And the first time we wrote it and submitted it, we were denied. And I thought, there is no way I'm gonna do that again. I could have got a PhD after writing all of that. And so go back to the private school, just trying to do what we're gonna do, and the application opened the next year, and I was like, we're gonna write that application again. Spent another year on the application, and we were denied. But there's one thing that my parents taught me, and it was never to give up, and they instilled grit and rigor and the strength to go the long haul. So the third year, it opens again, we write the application for TEA, and they awarded us a charter school. 4 years ago, we had 100 people come to the state capitol saying, we want a charter school in this community, we deserve one. And when we finally opened our doors tuition free, we opened with 480 students, and today we're serving 650 scholars. The vision of Beta Academy is to offer an elite education for all children, no matter where you live, no matter where your zip code is. If we're ever gonna change poverty, if we are ever gonna have prosperous neighborhoods everywhere, it's through the power of education. And one of the core values is that we change the mentality in neighborhoods, and we remove victim mentality, and we give them the tools necessary to have the rigor and the grit, that when they get denied the first time, you get up and you do it again. And when you get denied the second time, you get up and you do it again. And maybe you get denied the third time, but you know what? Maybe you get a charter school. And so those are the values that Beta Academy are built on. Now, we're most known for our joy. It's very important for us, for children in those neighborhoods to want to come to school. We pay attention. We go outside and pay attention in the car line to make sure like the kids are getting out with a smile on their face. And if they're not, I want to know whose classroom they're connected to. We want our kids so excited about coming to school because we want them to be those lifelong learners. Mr. Benitez? Will you walk the audience through what they should do, and then we'll practice? Maybe we could, you can practice on us, and we can show the audience kind of a little taste. It takes a while for the kids to get into it, so I don't know, when we're teaching, no, they're fine, but at the beginning of the school year, we have to really teach this style. And so, I don't know how well you guys will do, but I think you're A players in here, so we'll see.
All right, okay. Class. So when I say class, you say yes. I say class, you say yes. Let's try it, class.
Yes.
Should I get class?
Yes.
Now if I say class like this, class, you're going to say, you ready to try it? Yeah. Are you sure? Yes. All right. Class.
Yes.
Close.
Yes. Yes.
So if I say it high, you're going to say it high. Class. Yes. If I say it low, you're going to say close. All right, class.
Yes.
Okay, when I say hands and eyes, you say hands and eyes, and you're going to go like this, and you're going to look at me, giving me your undivided attention. Class, so class?
Yes, so yes.
Hands and eyes.
Hands and eyes.
Whole brain learning. Linda and I toured the school. I mean, we're going to do something real special for the school. But one other thing, would you do the 100 people thing? Can you direct them through that?
Also, all of the teachers make up their own cheers for their class. Mr. Benitez, do you have a cheer or maybe a 10-finger woo and a dab?
Okay, so one that we have is 100 when they give a great response. So one thing that we'll say is 100 whoop. So do you guys want to try it out? Yeah. You think? All right. When I say, y'all are gonna say 100 whoop. Ready? 100 whoop.
I was doing this yesterday with our firm. Isn't that great, Jack? Thank you. Isn't that great? This is going on all during the day in different classes, Matt. This is incredible, Dana. It's just something. Bill, this is the new learning techniques. You need to do this in the #1 rated college, Wolf Center of Entrepreneurship in the country. If you do this, I'll be off the chart.
It's not even a presentation. You came across so natural to everybody because you could tell you love what you do.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
And the school is so special because it's something that, it wasn't in your plan. And so talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, so again, I was just working my way through college, didn't have a lot of money, so I was living in a low income area. And being in that situation and looking at my neighbors and looking at the children that would play out in the apartment complex, I just really was like, oh, I can't abandon this community. And so that's really like that seed was planted in me that I want to do something for this community. And I knew that education was the key.
What do you explain to others when they say, what do you do? Why do you do it?
Well, what we do is we educate children, and why we do it is we feel that education is the key to prosperity in every neighborhood in America. And one of the big things that Beta is known for is the joy. We want our kids to love to come to school. And so we do that through chants, through singing, through drums. We have a morning assemblies where all the kids are gathered together, and we have dance-offs, and the teachers dance off, and the kids dance off, and we just like to start the day just peppy and full of fun. And then when you're walking through the hallways of Beta, you can literally hear the joy spilling into the hallways with all of the chants and the cheers and the callbacks that the students in the class are doing.
It's not your typical school. Even we could probably share stories about our school days and say, yeah, there was fun times, but that's nothing that would have been done before. Why do you think children respond to your techniques?
Well, I remember again, everything is always from a personal story. And I struggled with ADHD, and I remember being so bored in school, and it was also hard for me to pay attention. And so as the teacher's talking about all of that important stuff, I'm staring out the window, I'm doodling on the papers. And so for us, we want to make sure that our students aren't gapped, that they're getting the information that they need, and so it has to be fun. And that's why we use joy and fun and movement and play, is because we want to make sure that the students really learn that information. And to capture a student all day long for 6 to 7 hours, you have to do it through joy.
It must feel really good to know that you're now giving back to somewhere you thought you probably never wanted to live, right, but you had to be there. And you, in a sense, so not in a sense, really fell in love with it and are giving back to them.
Yes, it's my community. I could never even picture myself anywhere else. It's my community, and I'm so happy to be a part of it.
It just proves you have plans in life. We can put them on paper and make those plans and say we're going to do this, but life has other plans.
It does. You have to follow your heart and not always your mind. And I'm so glad that I followed my heart and did what I felt that I should be doing.
Is such a neat community from what I have learned through on stage here today at this luncheon and beyond. Now, you're very involved in literacy at the school.
Yes.
What do you do at the school, and how do you use your passion to help kids?
Well, I do a lot of things. At charter schools, we have to wear a lot of hats. We don't have as much funding. So I was over the ESL department as well as the literacy department. So I help choose the curriculum and the methods of instruction that we use. And I'm just really passionate about literacy because I was a strong reader growing up. I loved reading. I read all the time, and I scored on a 12th grade level when I was like in 6th grade. But it wasn't until I got to college and I learned how to become a reading teacher that I learned all of these strategies that just opened my mind to metacognition, to how to unpack a text and unlock the code of reading comprehension. And I was like, why didn't anyone teach me this?
And I'm glad you brought that up, because it leads me to my next question, where you have probably some children that were encouraged to read a lot, or maybe scared or fearful that they'd be made fun of because they didn't have the skill set. How do you pull that out of them and get their confidence levels back up where they should be?
Well, one thing that we do at Beta is we use a lot of cooperative learning. So we put students in groups, and they have various strengths and weaknesses, but we pair them together so that they can help teach each other. And it's amazing how another student can help explain things to another child that they're going to understand a little bit easier than from an adult's perspective, from just always the teacher. So they teach each other a lot. They discuss things, they debate, they learn how to politely and respectfully disagree.
That'll come in handy later in life, right?
Absolutely. It's a really important life skill. And so those are things that we encourage and we facilitate, because it's really hard for kids to disagree. Instead of just being like, no, you're wrong, we teach them how to say like, oh, I respect your opinion, but I disagree, and this
Let me
is what I think.
explain why.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
No, it develops in that way as well. How does it feel for you to see that? To see what you've implemented and seeing these kids using all those ways of learning and sharing?
Well, it just makes me come alive, and every morning I get up, I'm excited to go to work, and when I'm in the classroom, like monitoring the students and coaching the teachers and working with them, it just it makes me so thankful that I'm in this career, that I have this opportunity to do something that I feel is so meaningful, and I can't wait to see the outcome of our students in the future.